All right, everybody, we are live with the Combatcast, and we are going to talk about UFC 321, and we'll even talk about the Fight Night. Fight Night we got coming up this weekend. Like Chevy said, very weak-looking Fight Night on paper. But before we do, let's talk about some other stuff we got coming up.
All right, November 8th, UFC Fight Night, Bonfim versus Brown. I like Randy Brown, so that one's exciting, I guess. 7 p.m. Apex card. November 15th, UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev.
Yes.
PM, MSG. And then November 22nd, UFC Fight Night, Sarukian versus Hooker. That's a very fun fight. Yeah. 1 p.m. from Qatar.
I think we're going to have some fun shows coming up here towards the end. We have a few ones coming up right now that just are not very inspired, unfortunately. But we have to get through that. UFC 322 looks good overall, too. There's a couple title fights on that. Bo Nickel's coming back. So we'll see how that show shapes up, you know. All right, let's get to this fight night first, and let's just talk about it. Garcia versus Onama. UFC Fight Night. Chevy. Before we get to the main event and co-main event, any other fights on this card? Got you interested?
Ketlin Vieira versus Norma Dumont, maybe. I mean, they're higher ranked. I don't know if that fight interests me at all, but their names. Sidikris Dumas. He's back after, if you remember, he got kicked in the groin so bad that they had to call the fight, which, we'll talk about fouls later on. But he's back after a few weeks, so apparently he's all right. But no, let's get into this co-main event here. Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ante Delija. I did look up how to pronounce this guy's name earlier, and I already forgot. So my apologies. That's where this card's at.
Ante is 26-6, 13 KOs, 6 subs, 7 decisions. Former champion in the PFL, so that's to be noted there.
He beat Renan Ferreira, that giant Brazilian guy that Francis fought.
Yeah, he's already had a performance a night against Tibera. So he's taking on Waldo Costa, who's 14-2. 6 KOs, 1 sub, and 7 decisions. It's an interesting matchup. I'm going to go with Ante. Heavyweight, so we'll go swinging. I'll say round 2. Round 2, TKO.
Yeah, when you're looking at records, everything outside of the UFC is kind of suspect, but we do know Renan Ferreira, and obviously we know Marcin Tibera. He's been in the UFC forever, so that's a legit win, right? So Acosta is probably more athletic than anyone he's ever fought, though, so he has real speed and power. I'm going to go with Waldo by KO in round 2.
All right, someone's going down to 2.
Hopefully.
Unless we're wrong. That's a possibility.
All right, moving on. Main event here. Steve Garcia versus David Onama.
Onama, 14-2. A lot of 14-2s on this card, by the way. 14-2. 7 KOs, 4 subs, 3 decisions. Performance of the night twice. Fight of the night he had against Nate Landwehr at one point. Steve Garcia, 18-5, 14 KOs, no subs, 4 decisions. Performance of the night 3 times. So could be a fun little main event here. I'll go Garcia. Decision. Why not?
Yeah. Both guys on win streaks. Onama 4 in a row, Garcia 6 in a row. So potentially good matchup here. Garcia's definitely been fighting the tougher guys. Kyle Nelson, Chase Hooper, Calvin Kattar. Plus he's been finishing most of them as well. So I'm going to go with Garcia, but I'm going to pick decision because Onama's never been finished before. So Garcia by decision.
All right. Garcia by decision, and that's our fight night card from this week. Let's do it opposite this week. Let's rewind and let's look at what UFC 321 was. Chevy, I had some issues getting to see this card. I ended up following some streamers and actually watched it. Some guy I followed on TikTok, he was the real hero. Unfortunately, this poor guy got banned right before the main event. They shut him down right before the main event. I was like,
Yeah, UFC don't mess around with that.
No, they don't. And then I saw some more streaming, and I got to the main event, which we'll talk about more later. But I literally came in, and the guy was like, "We got a bad eye poke here," and I didn't even know who it was at first. And I'm like, and then once I saw it was Tom, I immediately heard Tom was compromised. I just didn't want the fight to even happen at that point because I don't want Tom to lose it. Yeah. But let's talk about 321, what you saw, and anything else besides the main card.
Oh yeah, on the prelims, Quillian Salkid, he's an Irish gentleman. Brutal round one head kick over Nasrat Hakparast, put him out cold. I've seen him knock a couple other dudes out too. He's a talented fella.
Okay.
And then Walter Walker, he was back. He got his fourth outside heel hook in a row. So these heavyweights better fucking watch out. Better watch their legs, I beat Louis Sutherland, who I think only had like 2 or 3 losses before this, like in his career. So
yeah,
respect to Walter Walker, I guess. We better keep an eye on this guy.
Heavyweight, heel hooking people. Like it.
Exactly. Yeah, 4 in a row too.
That's crazy.
All right, main card here: Alexander Rakic versus Azamat Mirzakhanov.
This is the one fight I didn't even get to watch any of. I got a little bit later.
It was a quick one.
Okay, so I know Azamat won. I know it was a TKO. I don't have any of that. This is the one fight I don't have any clue about. I didn't even get to see any of it. I'll just tell you, I'd like to see him fight. This guy's on such a roll. Keep him going. I'd like to see him fight Jan Blachowicz next.
Oh, that's a tough fight. Yeah,
it's a tough fight, but since I don't know what's even going to go on with the light heavyweight champion because we'll talk about that in the main event later. So
he caught Rakic coming in with like a short right hook, basically. And then he was like talking a bunch of shit, like as Rakic was getting up. Like they didn't have any issues beforehand that I was aware of. So, fuck that guy. I don't know. I mean, I did call this one. That was what I thought was going to happen, but I didn't predict the screaming in his face afterwards. So, fuck Mirzakhanov going forward. All right. Alexander Volkov versus Jaltian Almeida.
Yeah, interesting fight. I wasn't overly excited about it. Whenever heavyweights go to decision, it's not usually great. Usually, there are exceptions. Looking at you, Bigfoot and Mark Hunt, you guys were great. But yeah, I didn't overly enjoy the fight. But I thought, it's interesting. Almeida didn't get the win, and I understand why. We've talked about on this podcast before, he didn't really do anything with the top control time. But that's always interesting to me because it's like, well, if you're not doing anything, that sucks and shame on you, but the other guy's not really doing anything either. So maybe we need more draws,
But if you're on top of someone, you're in position to do.
You're
in position to do damage. It's on you for not doing the damage. The defender, yes, he needs to defend himself and he should be trying to get up and everything, but he's not in the position to do damage. You're not going to really get scoring for elbowing the guy from the bottom unless you cut him.
This is my suggestion too. Let's do like the Pride Days. Let's do stalling tactics. Let's have yellow cards. Let's do something because how are we really scoring this is what I'm saying. I guess it's tough for me because like I'm not, for the guys who ain't doing shit, I'm not, feeling sorry for them. But at the same time, you are stopping the action. So how do I just reward this other guy either? I guess it's difficult for me to kind of come to terms with it. I get, unless we have a scoring system, we're saying, okay, you're deliberately stalling. Fuck that, go ahead.
They need to do something for sure because, I mean, if you're able to just avoid damage by laying on top of someone and there's no punishment, you're going to get your full paycheck and move up in the rankings. And, I mean, you're not going to take damage. of course people are going to take advantage of that. I mean,
yes,
yeah, you want to be exciting, but that's lower down the priority list than staying healthy, safe, and winning. So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, the refs in this fight card in particular were very on top of the stalling.
yeah.
There was lots of warnings. They, in fact, stood a few fights up. So, maybe that's the way they're just going to be on top of it more and stop it.
That's
But
a good point.
something, like just something that we can all go by that is consistent, that makes the sport what we think it is.
And as far as Volkov, a next opponent, I think maybe he should wait at this point. Just looking at some of the fights and the wins he's strung together, like he's got a split decision loss to Cyril Gane, and maybe that's more impressive than we realize here. We'll see as we talk about the main event. I'm assuming there'll be a rematch there, so I don't know. Maybe just wait if you're Volkov. You've kind of fought everybody at this point, or see what happens. Maybe fight the loser of the next heavyweight fight and see what happens with the hair. You know what I mean? I don't know what to do with Volkov right now.
I don't know what to do with the heavyweight division.
So. Yeah, he can fight the guy who's heel hooking everybody.
Yeah,
give him a shot.
That guy called out the guy who beat Chris Barnett, who's just this giant Egyptian guy who just wrestled. So I guess they're going to go next, but whatever. Cool. I'll be so excited for that fight too. All right, moving on. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Batista. We were not excited for this one. It turned out to be a decent fight.
Yeah. I was going to say, I enjoyed this more than I thought. Mario Batista, was it a knockdown? He caught him with the knee at one point in round 2.
Head kick him and caught him with the knee. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I thought to myself too, you could argue Batista won that round. I can't remember if some judges gave it to him or not, but I thought, going into round 3, it was going to be interesting. And I thought, wow, if Mario Batista wins, this guy's definitely got to be in line for a title shot if he beats Umar.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I know that Jan has the next shot, but he would be automatically after that, I'm sure. But that didn't happen. Umar, a lot of control time. He is trying to get finishes, and he is doing stuff too with it. And
I mean, he's definitely more of a striker in most of his fights. He just used wrestling in this fight because that's where he had the big advantage.
Absolutely. And that wrestling does open up things for him with striking as well. So, yeah, Umar, happy to see this guy moving on. But, man, it's like I'm not ready for you to fight Merab again yet. If Merab, somehow... if Merab loses to Jan, then they're going to do a rematch, obviously.
How about him and Sean O'Malley? They haven't fought yet.
I had O'Malley, or if O'Malley's not wanting to fight him, Song Lidong was my other choice. That's the two guys.
Yeah, maybe whoever wins that fight, because those two are fighting next. So,
there you go.
Maybe Umar fights the winner of that one.
There you go.
I bet if Sean O'Malley loses to Song Yudong, he probably just retires, to be honest.
I could see that happening too, because he's already made some money, and I don't know how much his heart is in it.
Chances of him becoming champ again are slim.
Yeah, and I don't think he looks at those featherweights and those guys bigger than him and thinking, "Oh, that's a good idea for him." So
no. All right, first title fight of the night for the vacant strawweight title. Verna Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah. I thought the early rounds, Dern lost. Round 3, I thought was close. But then I thought, she won the later rounds. And it was, I don't know. It was fine. You know what I mean? I wasn't really blown away by this fight either. But at the same time, I was really happy for Dern, because I just wanted to see her get this opportunity. But I didn't feel like anything was super decisive here. Did you?
It was kind of a fun fight, but during the fight, I just kept thinking neither one of these girls could beat Weili Zhang if she was still there. So, it did diminish the fact that it was for the belt a little bit. I also was happy for Dern. She's obviously come in with, they talked about it on the broadcast too, a lot of expectation and pressure. Obviously because of her looks, that's even more pressure. People want her to succeed. We know the UFC is certainly happy that she's champ because she's very marketable. But I did feel for Verna because she is very likable. But yeah, it was a fun fight. Both girls, they really went for it, busted each other up. This was their second fight, which Mackenzie won the first one as well. So, yeah, shout out to her. I don't know what's next for her.
I was thinking maybe Tatiana Suarez could be around the corner too. She's a contender out there. So
yeah, I haven't looked at the rankings in a long time because women's MMA has been a struggle lately for sure. Not the most exciting people out there. Just who's a few of those top level ones.
The other lady, Asian girl from Weili Zhang defeated her.
Yan,
yeah. She's another one out there. Yan and Suarez would be the two, I would think. I'm assuming Weili, win or lose, is probably not going back to the division because she's big enough, and she'll probably, unless she gets like smoked by Valentina really bad.
Valentina just takes her and holds her down or something. And just shows that she's done. Yeah, that'd be tough.
Might reconsider that, but other than that, I think Weili's gonna be at a new home.
All right, main event time. Disappointing. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane heavyweight title.
So now this fight, I basically just saw the eye poke. With my understanding was
basically all that happened.
Okay, so some people are saying Cyril Gane was doing pretty good here.
He landed a couple jabs. There was no real heavy exchanges.
Okay, because I know. All right, I never believed the narrative, no matter what, that Tom Aspinall was looking for a way out, especially when you see the eye poke and how brutal, these two eyes get opponents. Like, there's no way. So, yeah, I mean, you got to do a rematch here. That's a given. This made me kind of think about it again. Like, I think we've talked about this. This really made me, let's get the pay-per-views done, because it's a lot easier to swallow. Okay, if I paid $12.99 a month for this as opposed to $80, this pay-per-view I didn't spend money on, and I'm glad I didn't. But we've bought pay-per-views that kind of stink in the past. Lucky for us, we never bought a pay-per-view that ended in a freaking eye poke in a heavyweight championship main event. Yeah,
it was lucky that this one was an early card as well.
Yes.
If it was 2:00 in the morning and it ended like that, yeah,
one of those guys.
flip the table,
no, but there's no way. To me, this goes back to I cannot wait for streaming. This is definitely the way to go, and let's just get away from the pay-per-views, because this is such a potential to happen in MMA. Like boxing. Yeah, the old Tyson days, you got a first round knockout. Maybe you didn't feel you got a knockout, though. In MMA, it is more exciting because there's more options, but you can get eye pokes like this. So I think this is just another big win for streaming. And I say you take a negative, though, and you try to make a positive out of it, and you take this fight and maybe you book it on the first streaming card in January. And, hopefully you have another decent main event, but you add this to that, too.
Oh yeah, not much else to say about this one, I guess. So Tom wouldn't be able to beat John Jones because clearly can't defend getting poked in the eyes. So that settled that debate. But the people that think Tom should have kept fighting, they need to get poked knuckle deep in both eyes, and I volunteer to do that. So hit your boy up if you would like to get poked in your fucking eyes.
I do have a question for you, though. Do you think Alex Pereira, who was possibly on deck for the heavyweight title, now we're probably just going to definitely see him booked in a light heavyweight fight in between time, because he likes to stay busy?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends how quickly they want to rebook this fight, I guess. I mean, it's not like these guys are going through some brutal weight cut or some shit, Tom's eye gets better in 2 weeks, they can fight again for all I
They could put him on I'm saying the January, but they could put him on a Madison Square Garden card. You can have
It's not like they're fucking putting tons of marketing behind these guys. They have given up on that aspect. So I don't know, fucking throw them on the next card. I know it's the heavyweight title, and you probably want to make that the main event, but I don't care about that. I just want to fucking see Tom fight.
And
hopefully knock out Cyril Gane. Did you see how upset he was after? He was so upset. It's like, dude, you fucking are the one that put your fingers in his eyes.
Yeah.
I can't say that guy. Yeah, but all you people that are like, I should have kept fighting. I saw Chael was like upset. Like, dude, you never been poked in the eye in a fight? Like,
yeah. I don't know. That's Uncle Chael. Whatever. He's entitled to his opinion, but
he just likes to say shit so that people like us will be like, I can't believe Chael said that. We're talking about it, So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
why he does those things. But
well, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Do I expect more from a fighter or the fans? I think a fighter would be like, you should be a little more like, come on,
yeah, I know. I mean, DC was talking to him about. He was Tom. I mean, talking about how it's so wild. We got you. The other one was worse. The one that didn't bother you as much. You said they were both knuckle deep in my eye. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
Well, that was UFC 321. It was wild. It was not, anything. Out of all the good pay-per-views, I thought we've had some good pay-per-views this year. We haven't had some of the best fight nights. It's been atrocious for fight nights, but we've had good pay-per-views, but this was not one of them. So, hey, looking forward to UFC 322. But before that, what do we got coming up?
November 8th, UFC Fight Night, Bonfim versus Brown. That's 7 p.m. in the Apex. Then November 15th, UFC 322, Della Maddalena versus Makachev, live from MSG. Last pay-per-view at MSG. And then November 22nd, UFC Fight Night, Sarukian versus Hooker. That's 1 p.m. from Qatar. I'm excited for that one. All
right, so we do have some good fights coming up. Guys, please enjoy Garcia versus Onama Fight Night. Either way, we'll be back here to talk about it next week. See you guys.